Hey guys, in this video I'm just going to go over installing Falcon PiPlayer from the micro SD card to an SSD drive. You can use just normal USB portable SSD drives. They're fairly cheap. You just use a USB 3 cable obviously, and you're plugging that into your Raspberry Pi and the USB 3 port, and the process will work the same as what I'm doing here. But for this video, I'm going to be installing it and setting it up using the Argon 1 M.2 case. This takes a M.2 SATA SSD drive, and the Pi goes inside of it and everything. And I'll be using a WD Green 240GB drive. These are fairly cheap. I think it was like $30. So yeah, we'll get into it. Okay, to start off, if you're going to do this just with a portable USB drive, what all you need to do after we load up Falcon PiPlayer on the micro SD card is to just plug in the USB drive via the USB 3 port, which is the blue one, and then you'll be able to do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Argon 1. So this is basically what the Argon 1 is. It has its own cooling and everything, and we need to put the Pi into this. So this is a daughter board that'll go into the audio out jack and the HDMI ports, which is going to put them onto the back of it. So we just need to clip that in, and then that's in there like that. We'll put in the SSD. So remember, if you buy one of these Argon 1 cases, make sure the drive matches the SSD. So this is a M.2 SATA SSD, and this is a M.2 SATA Argon. You can get an NVMe one of these, but you'll need to keep in mind you need an NVMe drive. It's no point getting an NVMe really. Just get the SATA one. It'll be cheaper all round, and the performance is basically going to be the same. But anyway, we'll put the SSD in. Okay, and then the Raspberry Pi is going to go in here. So just put the thermal pads on. And then we'll drop the Pi in. Just line up the GPIO header there, and then that all sits in there like that. So we'll leave the SD card in for the time being because we want to boot it. We're going to copy all the information to the SSD. So we'll just click the bottom on. I won't screw it up. And the way it communicates with the SSD from the Pi is it has this little little adapter. So we'll just plug that in there. The good thing about this is you can also access the GPIO points if you need to. So the plate just comes off, it's just magnetically held on. So if you do use the GPIOs, you can still access them while it's in this case. Okay, so now we can boot it up. Like I said before, if you just had a normal Pi without this case, you just plug in the USB hard drive and then boot the Pi. Alright, now we're in the web interface for the Falcon PiPlayer. Don't worry about these errors here, it's just because it's not in my controller and I can't find the boards. So from this point we need to go to status control and then just go to FPP settings. Now we're looking for the storage button here, but if you don't have the storage button there, click on UI and then go and enable it to advanced, because you'll probably be on basic. So just leave advanced ticked and then storage will pop up. In here with the SSD connected via USB, you're going to have USB actions here. Flashing to USB will make like a brand new copy, like a fresh install to the SSD. None of your sequences or settings or anything will be copied over, so it'll be a perfectly fresh install if you wanted to start over. Clone to USB will copy everything over, including your sequences and all of that. So if you're already set up running your show and you just want to transfer everything to an SSD to get away from the micro SDs, then clone to USB is what you want to be doing. If you want to fresh install, nothing else on it, no settings, no sequences, then you're going to flash. But here, because this is my controller, I want to clone it because I've got everything set up how I like it. So we're just going to clone, and this will just bang on about how it's going to wipe the drive. Now at this point, if this stops and says something about EEPROM update, reboot or anything like that, wait for a couple of minutes, and if it doesn't keep going and it actually says EEPROM update or reboot or anything like that, just reboot the Pi and then come back, follow the steps, and then click clone again, and then it'll continue. And that's just because it's updating the bootloader. Okay, now when it says flash to SDA complete, you're done. So you can turn your Pi off and then take the SD card out. So at the moment we're still on MMC drive, which is the micro SD. So when I reboot it and we come back to this, it'll be on the USB drive. Okay, so now at this point we're just going to remove the micro SD card because you don't need that anymore. But you can keep it in storage just to, if you ever needed to reflash the drive again or whatnot, you can just use that micro SD again. And now just quickly, I'll screw the motherboard in. Now if you're using this argon case, the short screws go into that hole, that hole, that hole, and that hole. Okay, that's it all together. And then now we can put on the base. And then this is where the longer screws go. Alright, that's it. So the Raspberry Pi's inside of the case. It's a pretty cool little case. It has the power button there. You can set a jumper on the board inside to allow you to operate that, to switch it off and on, or have it always on. I've set it to always on, so this powers up with the controller when I put power to the controller. And then we just plug in the USB, and then that's it. That's going to go on my controller. I've got full-size HDMI ports instead of those little micro ones. Audio out if you use it, but I use a USB Sound Blaster, and then the ports there. So the power goes there, Ethernet. So yeah, everything's good. Like I said, GPIO access there. But anyway, we'll boot it up. This also has a cooling fan and the whole case. This aluminium case, so the whole case acts as a cooler. So it's really good for cooling, especially if you're using SSD. So you shouldn't have any problems with that. Alright, we're back in the Falcon Pi player after transferring it all. And then just go to settings again. And then storage. And then now we're on SDA, which is the USB SSD. So we don't have, I don't have a micro SD in the mix anymore. So this will greatly reduce on corruption and problems and all the rest of it. And yeah, we'll just check. We'll go to content, file manager, and there's the test sequence I had on there when I was making my Tune2 sign, because I haven't uploaded anything this year. The audio files there, so it copies everything over. The guys that develop FPP have done really good on having that function to clone the SD card to USB, and there you have it. So I hope this helps. If you're having problems with corruption on SD cards with the Raspberry Pi and you've got a Raspberry Pi 4, then you can basically set it up like this and you don't have to worry about SD cards anymore. Obviously an SSD is not a perfect 100% fail-safe option, but it's a lot more durable than the micro SD cards. And yeah, hope that helps.